gentlemen. The human race has always been fascinated by the concept of fear. Books, movies, countless things have been produced from it. So fear will be the main focus of my talk today. I will now show you a series of images. Please raise your hand if you feel scared or afraid. Now, these are just pictures and they cannot harm you anyway, yet we still feel fear. But why? Why are we still scared of a bunch of pictures? Well, fear is actually just an instinct from when we were slightly less developed. Approximately 3 million years ago, there were many dangers, such as predators and natural disasters, things that could kill humans, and at that time, humans had no defenses against them, unlike today. Humans have developed these fears to act like a defense mechanism. If humans didn't fear things, we would have died out long ago. Ancient humans would have approached dangerous beasts, accidentally fall off cliffs, or attempted to imitate animals that could do things that humans can't, like fly. Humans would be filled with stupidity and courage. They wouldn't be afraid of death, destruction, or disease. But because we have fear, we have survived. We have thrived on Earth. No one is walking into a fire. No one is fighting a ferocious bear to the death. And no sane person is swimming in a swimming pool during a thunderstorm. In both humans and animals, the purpose of fear is to help us survive. Evolution has selected only the humans with fear genes. That's why everyone today is afraid of something. Fear helps us make rational decisions that help guide us in everyday life. Things like, should I cut my hand while chopping vegetables? Will I ride my bike in the middle of the road? Or can I attack my friend for no apparent reason? Fear of pain and fear of prosecution helps us control those three decisions. Other fears, such as fear of death, can also influence many of our other decisions. Common sense is also influenced by various fears. Most of our decisions are made using this method. Try to think of a scenario where fear is not involved. There aren't many, are there? But what about irrational fears? I've narrowed it down to two types, phobias and regular irrational fears. Some of the most irrational phobias that exist are genophobia, the fear of knees, and porphyrophobia, the fear of the color purple. Phobias have two causes. One, they can be caused by your genes, and two, they can be caused by the environment around you. About 25 to 65% of all phobias are caused by your genes. They are usually caused by some kind of genetic mutation in your genes. However, scientists aren't actually sure which specific gene is responsible for causing the phobia, but it is more likely that a group of genes is responsible. As for phobias caused by the environment, these are usually caused when you are traumatized by the feared object or event. Interaction with the feared object or event could potentially cause a phobia. Seeing or even hearing about the feared object could cause your phobia. For example, if you have been bitten by a dog, it is possible for you to develop a fear of dogs. And if you have heard about several airplane crashes, you could develop a fear of flying or airplanes. However, this method of forming a phobia is less likely than it being formed by your genes. According to the UK Phobic Society, phobias that are caused by the environment usually develop in children from early childhood to early adulthood. And it is considered quite unusual for someone who is age 30 and above to develop a phobia. This is because children's brains are still developing and it will be easier for them to have a mental condition. Moving on to regular irrational fears, these fears are usually fears of something that is common in everyday life, yet they can still not harm you. Some examples of rational fears are public speaking or your A-levels. This is because both of these events have a lot of stress and pressure. When people are scared of irrational things, it is usually because they are scared of consequences. For example, when you're speaking publicly, if you mess up, you could cause a lot of embarrassment. And if you fail your A-levels, we all know that you will probably not get a good college education or a stable job and probably end up in a life of debt. The more important an event is to you, the more stress and pressure there is, which makes it more likely for you to fear that thing. So, moving on. But why are some people braver than others? Some people are easily scared, and if they encounter a creepy talking doll, they could scream and faint. However, other people might not be scared at all and put on a brave face. We say things that are scary cause fear. Things like horror movies, gruesome scenes, or psychopaths. Everyone is unique, and everyone will define fear differently. And everyone will have different levels of fears. So, concluding my talk, overall, fear has good sides and bad sides too. Fear can stop us from trying new things and keep us from having new experiences. However, it will be able to keep us safe. As a rock climber, I often experience the fear of falling when I push past my limit. However, I have never let that fear stop me from going over my limit. It is impossible for any human being to not feel fear. But it is possible for you to overcome that fear. I would like to end on a quote from Mark Twain. Courage is resistance to fear. Mastery of fear, not the absence of fear. Thank you.